Well, that report gives us an indication of what the minister has said. And just before we came back just now, we were joined by Mr. Sulaiman Arigbabu, who is an environmentalist.
Thank you.
Great to have you on the show. We'll come back to you shortly, but the conversation, yes, Alera, we raised some issues just now, and you want to ask Dr. Asiedu.
Yes. Doctor, even before this flooding happened, there were fears regarding food security in Nigeria. Our population is growing by the minute. Food is getting more and more expensive. And there were already issues about how is Nigeria going to be able to feed itself. And then this disaster strikes a large part of the food basket of Nigeria. And the minister tells us we have nothing to worry about. We don't have to worry about food security. Can you please explain all that to us? We're a bit lost.
Okay, Madam, one point is that we can't turn adversity to our advantage. You may remember the food price crisis or food crisis that came about where there was a lot of shortage of rice, wheat, and the rest, and the whole world was saying riots were happening in other places. By that time, the interest in agricultural research and development had been sliding. Those who were investing in agriculture, well, there should be enough food. It is when that happened that the world sat up again and said, oh, we are not that okay. So my hope is that in this particular situation, we have now been reminded that, oh, we thought we were okay. Now you raise this question, I'm sure the minister, his colleagues and all will be listening. It wasn't as okay as we wanted, but now it is worse. But let us now focus our attention. How do we ensure that this never happens? That when we have such a situation, we can immediately call on reserves that the country has.
Do we have reserves?
Well, my colleague already mentioned that there is some reserve and that we can do more. Nigeria has been contributing even food to the World Food Program and others. So certainly this is, you know, as an agriculturist, looking at the potential and what happens in the country, I see this as a big challenge, but it also excites me from another angle, and I apologize if anybody feels that I am sort of enjoying the adversity that has hit, but it is not like that. But I feel this is a challenge that we should respond to in a way that is so decisive that it actually leaves a lasting impression that Nigeria can take care of itself. That we have this situation, as my colleague said, the area that has been affected compared to the area that is not affected is minimal. And therefore, the amount of production that has been going on before, the amount of production that we can still bring to bear, the amount that had been produced and was being exported and all, and the fact that if it becomes absolutely necessary, we can call on our partners even outside the country for help, gives me confidence that we can address this in a way that we also learn very good lessons. And so we have an approach that is ready to apply the next moment. These floods and others have happened in other countries. We all saw on TV when the US had the major problems, and we were all watching how the US was struggling to address it. One colleague said, well, US can always go to other countries to help. Why is it they can't fix their own? But I'm confident that this one we can fix it. So you are right. We were struggling before, and we were struggling because productivity has been low. The amount of surface area we are using for food production, we can reduce it to half and still have the same production if we applied knowledge in agriculture that is already available. Mm-hmm. If we use the right variety,
modern methods.
Exactly, that we can reduce it by half easily. Because if you are getting
So in
11.
essence, we can multiply, you know,
Very
what
rapidly.
we will get.
Exactly. And so this will be really, it wakes all of us up. And as agriculturists, for me, it's exciting that now the attention comes back to agriculture, that the money that was being wasted on other things, in some countries, on other things, would now be focused. This is what happens if you do not really have a solid base for your agriculture. So if we are getting 11 tons per hectare, say for cassava, why should we accept 11 tons per hectare when you can easily get 25 tons? So the farmer who is cultivating 1 hectare can easily cultivate a third of that and come up with the
Get
same
more
production.
yield.
But more than that, what happens after he has harvested? What is it going into? Do we have an efficient process for processing, storage, marketing, such that the farmer is confident, when I produce my
sell.
cassava, it will sell. So basically, this will bring back the attention. And this is what the minister is saying. Let us now get the improved varieties where sometimes it's very difficult. You have a variety, take for example yam. IITA, National Root Crop Research Institute, have released 19 improved varieties of yam. If you ask how many farmers in the country grow those improved varieties, I'm sure you will count very few. Why? Because the multiplication and distribution of yam is not as easy as, say, the grain crops. And therefore, to really get the millions of farmers who grow yams to have access to that is difficult. But now, there is the opportunity. Those areas where you have the inundation, they've lost their seed. What we're going to say is, okay, get them good varieties, clean varieties, because if the seed that they are producing is already infested with disease and pests, their yield is already compromised. So this is the opportunity to say, where are the clean seeds of those varieties they like, as well as the new varieties that are yielding even more? Let us get it to them now, so that out of this unfortunate situation, let us arise with a situation where the people they have even much better.
It will be fantastic to get to talk a bit more about that, because it will, but before we do that, I want us to talk to Solomon Arigbabu, because the foundation for all of this is the flood. It's what has led to this conversation. And when we look at it, Dr. Asiedu mentioned something that is very important: the organization that will take us out of it. Lack of organization will mean that we will remain in this situation and things will get worse. Let's look at the organization that is taking us out of the problem of the flood. How organized have we been in managing the situation of the flood? If we don't manage that well, it shows that we're not going to be able to manage well the process of getting back to farming properly. So what has been the situation?
Thank you. No doubt the whole situation caught us not so prepared. Whilst one must say that the organizations, the agencies in charge of responding to this, the men and women, they have done their best. But unfortunately for us as a nation, that best is not enough. It's not due to any fault of theirs. It's just because Nigeria has not prepared them or equipped them to be able to give the kind of response or even the kind of prevention that we would have had. If you noticed, when the flood hit the Middle Belt, it didn't immediately hit Delta or Bayelsa. And this is something we could already project, that, okay, the water is in the Middle Belt, is going to take this number of hours or days to get to these other places. What kind of evacuation can we do? What proactive measures can we take? So we do not have that. Our early warning system is not sufficient. Indeed, NAMET warned us